and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Former President Muhammadu Buhari commends tribunal judgment, says it's a win for democracy and the people. Lagos State House of Assembly again rejects 2 commissioner nominees while confirming 15 of the 18 nominees recently sent by the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Plus, Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Bette Edu, calls for permanent, sustainable solutions to humanitarian challenges confronting internally displaced persons. Well, welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We begin outside our shores, where the president has urged Nigerians to harness the country's rich diversity as a uniquely powerful tool for advancing prosperity and national development. President Bola Tinubu in India for the G20 summit shared his conviction with the Nigerian community during an interaction with them Thursday evening. The president called on Nigerians to harness the country's rich diversity for the benefit of all citizens.
We are here not to talk politics. We are here to present a future to you. A future of a country that is so rich, endowed, and highly populated, very dynamic, unique in its culture, unique in our tradition, unique in our ethnicity. A country we determine that we make our prosperity possible if only we use that God-given opportunity of diversity for prosperity of Nigerians. We're sure to do that. We're not poor in knowledge. We are not poor in human resources. We are not poor in capital resources. We're only poor in management and leadership. And that is why I ran for president, to help all of us mold the soul of our country in the right direction.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. And more reactions continue to trail the judgment of the presidential election petitions tribunal on Wednesday. And this time it's coming from former President Muhammadu Buhari. The former president, in a statement by his media aide Garba Shehu, saluted the 5-member panel of the court, saying they have written history by spurning intimidation and all manner of prejudice to deliver justice according to the law of the country. He says, quote, "If anybody has won today, it is the democracy and the people. With the verdict of the courts, the election period is over and it is time to put the heat and dust behind us. From here, the new APC administration led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu should get the support of everyone in order to deliver the promises it made to the people." The Labour Party, People's Democratic Party and their candidates had asked the tribunal to overturn the results of the election on grounds of manipulation, irregularities and non-compliance with the Electoral Act. But Wednesday, the tribunal ruled that the petitioners failed to prove their cases and affirmed the victory of Mr. Tinubu in that election. While still staying with reactions, the Gombe State Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya, he has applauded the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court, which unanimously affirmed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's victory in the February 25th presidential election. The governor, who is also the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, described the judgment as victory for democracy and truth and a momentous affirmation of the Nigerian people's trust in President Tinubu's leadership. He applauded the dismissal of the consolidated petitions presented by the petitioners alongside their presidential candidates, describing the decision as a reinforcement of the people's will and the transparency of Nigeria's electoral system. He also hailed INEC for its impartial role during the polls as the unbiased umpire in the electoral process. And former governor of Rivers State and FCT minister Nyesom Wike spoke on our political program, Politics Today, also reacted to the Presidential Election Petitions Court. He said that he did not support his party, the PDP, and its flag bearer because he believes their position was wrong. He says he believes in equity and fairness and justice, and that the petition was like no other case, a special area, and it's not propaganda, and it's not something that is won on social media. He said that he sat down for the length that it took to watch the judgment, not less than 10 hours, and then he looked at how the justices painstakingly took each of the items one by one and looked at all of the issues and gave reasons for their judgment. He says there's no need for the petitioners to appeal the judgment because the tribunal affirmed the will of Nigerians. Welcome back. You're watching Lunchtime Politics here on Channels Television, and joining us now to talk more about the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court is former Attorney General of Kaduna State, Jonathan Adamu. He joins us virtually here in Lagos. So I'd like to first say welcome to Lagos, and pray tell, what's your take? It was quite a lengthy number of hours. Everyone, for those who were interested, of course, watching, listening to the judges give that verdict. Oh, they were still trying to connect with the former Attorney General. Hopefully, we will try to connect with him again and to get his thoughts. But let's move on to other stories. This time, we're going to Lagos, where the State House of Assembly yesterday again rejected 2 commissioner nominees while confirming 15 of the 18 nominees recently sent by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, who presided over the sitting, lauded the Chief Whip, Fatai Mojeed-led committee for what he said was a thorough job. The rejected nominees are former Commissioner for Energy, Olalere Odushote, and ex-Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Samuel Agube. The House, however, resolved to step down confirmation of Tolani Sule Akibu for another day. Those confirmed include Dr. Afolabi Tajuddin, Mr. Oluwaseun Ariyomi, Professor Akinola Bayomi, Dr. Oluwarotimi Fashola, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Medem, and Mrs. Akinyemi Bankole. Others are Mrs. Bolaji Dada, Mrs. Barakat Bakare, Mr. Lugbenga Motosho, Mr. Mosho Pefoluwa George, Dr. Yekini Agbaje, Dr. Olumide Oluyinka, Mr. Samson Oluyomi, and Dr. Iyabode Ayola, and also Shola Giwa. And it was her first official engagement outside the nation's capital since inauguration. The Minister for Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, says the federal government will focus on providing permanent solutions to humanitarian challenges confronting internally displaced persons in Borno State, the Northeast, and all troubled states across the country. With over 8 million IDPs lacking shelter, food security, and basic amenities across the Northeast sub-region, The minister says sustainable wealth creation is the way out. Dr. Edu made the comments during an on-the-spot assessment tour of camps, facilities, housing IDPs and victims of insurgency in Borno State.
Let me first and foremost use this opportunity to officially congratulate the Honorable Minister and also to welcome her members of her interest to Borno State. I want to commend you for choosing Borno State as your first point of official visit since you assumed duty as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. I want to assure you that Government of Borno State and our distinguished leadership will provide the necessary support to your humble service, and indeed your Ministry in general, with a view to achieving your mandate.
We have over 8 million persons who are affected by humanitarian crisis in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe alone. And then, of course, there are other areas that have become even more prominent, like Benue and several other states where we have inflow of refugees, like in Cross River, and of course IDPs in other places. And then the idea is to go around and see the living conditions and what interventions are already ongoing presently and how we can improve on those conditions. We also want to make it a more resilient system such that we don't have people who are permanently IDPs for life.
And following the directive by the federal government for all international airlines to move their operations to the new International Airport Terminal Lagos, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has commenced the relocation process. FAN has asked the airlines to begin processing passengers through the new international terminal with immediate effect. In a statement, FAN explains that the move became necessary following the fire incident that occurred at the international terminal on Wednesday. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, during his maiden visit to the airport, had directed the relocation of the airlines to the new international terminal by October 1st, when the terminal would be shut down. He explained that the shutdown is to enable a total overhaul of facility to improve passenger experience. FAN is urging intending travelers to arrive at the airport early to complete their check-in formalities on time. Well, aviation analyst Bernard Bankole joins me now for more. Glad you could join us on the program.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. The Aviation Ministry seems to have gone through quite a lot when we look at, the past years, also in terms of its amenities. We saw the recent tour of the Minister of Aviation. Would you say, are you optimistic that better days lie ahead of that sector?
Well, I'll call it disruptive change. Unfortunately, maybe the timing and the approach is not completely the way we expect it to be, but it's something that is highly necessary. Remember, a lot of money was spent on putting up the new terminal, and the essence of putting up the new terminal is for it to be able to serve the nation and team in passengers. But unfortunately, the fire incident quickened the approach of moving the international airlines into the new terminal, which created some sort of disruption in the flow of human traffic, by making sure that all the necessary amenities and facilities to ease passenger movement was disrupted by the sudden rush of all the airlines into the new terminal. But one could only appeal to the passengers, or rather appeal to the entire stakeholders to bear with the industry and see how we can quickly stabilize and make things a lot easier for the passengers. I have seen pictures, and I can imagine what passengers are going through.
But
it's quite unfortunate.
Perhaps apart from those disruptions, some people had said that the new terminal was perhaps quite unique in terms of the fact that it didn't meet up to some of the airline standards. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes, I'm fully aware of that. There are certain challenges, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity of visiting the new terminal. You'll find that is sort of very narrow for a wide-body aircraft to make its way to the hangars for them to discharge passengers. And that's why most of the foreign airlines are reluctant, because they fly with those big-body aircrafts. And if you have a big-body aircraft and you struggle to park, it becomes a major issue. Now, they registered the fact that, look, we don't want to take that risk because of what could happen to our equipment. However, we do not have the facility to take passengers from them parking at where we've got a wider space from the old terminal parking lot to the new terminal where passengers are being disembarked for them to get in. So there is a major crisis there that, look, we do not have all the necessary facilities on ground. Yes, parking is an issue, so the aircraft can't move to the new terminal. And buses to convey passengers from the old terminal to the new terminal is equally not available. And not only that, the conveyor belt in the new terminal is equally not functioning optimally and all that. So
we can say that things are bound to be chaotic in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, they're bound to be chaotic, but I want to believe that all hands will be on deck to quickly resolve these issues at hand. If we have to make some temporary provision of buses to be able to move passengers, so be it, so that, I mean, there's no reason that the passengers should get the brunt of all this. That's the truth. The passenger has paid for a service, and the passengers should get those services without excuses from we, the stakeholders in the aviation industry. It is quite unfortunate, but everything just seems to be happening at the same time and making it difficult for the passenger to enjoy for the service they paid for.
We've also heard the minister say that the federal government is ready to partner with state governments to improve facilities of, all of the nation's airports around the country. We've also perhaps seen maybe other countries that have way more airports. Texas, for example, over 300. Do you think that Nigeria should look at increasing its airports across the country, or maybe stick with rehabilitation of existing ones to perhaps international standards?
Well, I really don't think we really need to flood the nation with so many airports. The ones we have presently, how well have we been able to manage them? And when we talk about management, we've seen a concessioning, the one with the MM2. I think we need to see more of concessioning of these airports to private operators, so that the private operators they're able to handle the operations of airports, airlines better than the government. The government should just stick to policies, and ensure that the right policies are made for the industry, while you allow private sector to carry out the operations. And I think that's what is obtainable everywhere around the world. So if we can do that, we realize that we will get a lot done, and we will the airports will become profitable. I mean, if you care to know this, Asaba Airport is being privately managed. And when you go there, you see the facilities they have on ground. The only thing about Asaba Airport is that they do not have they require traffic to be able to make them extremely profitable like they should be. But in terms of putting things together, I mean, that's one airport that is privately managed and privately managed very well.
All right. Well, we'll see how things evolve in the coming days. I'd like to thank you, aviation analyst Bernard Bankole. Thanks for joining us on the program.
You're most welcome.
Well, we head to Delta State, where a foremost PDP support youth group has been speaking on the achievements of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori as he commemorates 100 days in office. At a press briefing in Asaba, the group highlights some of the achievements of the governor, especially in the area of projects initiated by the past administration, which they say has been completed, and the initiation of new projects. They also talk about improving the welfare of civil servants, the payment of their promotion arrears, the acquisition of 40 billion naira facility to the local government councils to help defray the huge pension arrears of local government pensioners, among other achievements.
It is glaring that His Excellency Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori is committed to all the promises he made to Deltans and is taking visible steps to do more for Deltans. While we congratulate our dear Governor, His Excellency Sheriff Orokwodo Francis Oborevwori, for his 100 days in office, our message to Deltans is to support the administration, renew trust for government, and also be patient with the system.
And to other political stories, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has commended Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Oti for what he says bringing visible developments in Abia just a few months that has been in office. Mr. Umahi, who was in Abia on Thursday to inspect ongoing federal projects in the state, said that even though he is not an apostle of 100-day celebration, Abia residents and indeed the Southeast, he says, are blessed to have Governor Oti as his handwork is already showing. The former governor of Ebonyi State told Dr. Oti that Abia has about 11 federal road projects ongoing. Some of the roads that he mentioned are Section 1 of the Port Harcourt-Enugu Express Road, which runs from Lupanta to Abia Tower in Umuahia, which is 100% completed with a trailer park. Section 2 of the road runs from Umuahia Tower to Aba. Rehabilitation of Umuahia Ikwano to Ikodik Peno Mudike Road with a length of 49.2 kilometers. Section Umporo Abiriba or Hafia Road awarded in 2012 that has been abandoned. Bendiaro Chuko Hafia Section 1 awarded in 2018, and Abao Wiri Road, which is awarded in 2020, and a number of other roads. We're in Ondo State, where the governor, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, is finally back in Nigeria. The governor, we understand, is presently at his personal residence in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The governor, our correspondent Femi Ojoma, confirmed this. The governor was on a medical vacation in Germany in the last 3 months. His wife Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu confirmed the governor's return with a post of her husband on her Facebook page with the caption, "Homebound." Many well-wishers in the state have reacted to the post, thankful for the governor's return, and are expressing hope that he will be resuming work soon. Recently, the chief press secretary to the governor had issued a statement that the governor was still in Germany to refute the rumors that the governor had returned to Nigeria, but our correspondent has confirmed that he is back home. Well, still staying in Ondo State, some residents of the oil-producing communities in Ilaje local government area have rejected the appointment of non-indigents in the community to represent the state on the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. It will be recalled that President Bola Tinubu recently constituted a new board of directors with 2 nominees from Ondo State among them. The protesters, whom are young people largely, insist that it's injustice, as both nominees from Ondo State are not from the oil-producing communities. They're calling on the federal government to abide by the NDDC Act of 2000 on the appointment of members into the board of the commission.
Our interest is very simple. Let the president and people, the power that be, follow the act of NDDC and nominate our sons and daughters. We have a competent sons and daughter that can represent us on that board. We cannot be laying the golden head, and our community is being suffering the degradation of this oil production, and some people will be taking the gain of this oil in our land. And that is why we are here today, to let the federal government know that it is Ugbo that produces oil in Ondo State. No any other kingdom that produces oil in Ondo State.
Tito Atikase and the Abegunde that has been newly appointed at the board of NDDC. So Ilaje people, precisely Igbo Kingdom, are calling on the authority concerned to please, as a matter of urgency, reverse this appointment and put the right ones from Igbo Kingdom in place so that we can have our people fully represented in the board of NDDC.
Well, that's the much we can take at this time. You've been served Lunchtime Politics. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Bye for now.